Hey everyone, how are you enjoying this class so far? I know we're just getting started, but we are have a lot more to cover, so keep with us here. Why Young Living? This is a question that I get so often, and it's a great question. So if you ask that, you're asking the right questions. It's great to be curious. It's great to be a researcher. I know myself, I'm a researcher by nature, so I don't just hop in and do something without getting to the bottom of it, without knowing that it is something like, for instance, with Young Living. I wanted to know that what we were putting on our bodies and in our bodies was the best and the safest available, because especially when you have a child, it makes you become a researcher even if you're not. You want to know it's safe, right? And that's what I did. I actually spent 2 or 3 months before I got started in my Young Living journey 4 years ago. I took that time and I looked at some companies, several different companies. I got online, I looked at websites, I called, I did my due diligence to find what is the information available to the public. And so let me share with you what separates Young Living and makes us so special. So Young Living was founded in 1993, is the largest, most trusted essential oil company, and has been around over 25 plus years. So it's the only company to offer a seed to seal guarantee, meaning from the time the seed is planted into the ground to the time that it is distilled and bottled, they have full control over that process. They oversee it. They are over the seeds, they're over the planting, they're over the harvesting, they're over the distillation and the bottling and the testing. So all of these things we are going to touch on a little bit later. So that is a little bit about Seed to Seal, and they ensure that you're receiving the essential oil exactly the way nature intended it. Nothing else added, nothing else done to it, and that is their promise. The only company that I found to this day. A lot of people are trying to jump on the van because essential oils are so popular, and everyone is becoming so aware that there are other options, and so you see more and more, but to this point I have not seen anyone go to the lengths that Young Living goes to with their standards and quality, and I've got to see it firsthand. I'm so blessed to have been able to visit the farms. Young Living is producing, guaranteeing 100% pure grade therapeutic grade essential oils. Gary Young, the founder, has built 9 farms around the world, so that is owned. We also have co-op and partner farms, so in areas of the world that is or country, for example, that they go in and partner and work with these local people, and they bring everything in, supply for them, and distill it there, and they bring jobs to the area and work with these locals, and they distill there. So while they can't own that land, they can work with them very, very closely, and they have people there on site, and they do the testing there and go through the same standards of testing and processing as they would on their own farms. So there are we get farms continuing to grow, but as of right now I know of 11 farms and growing. So no other company has that. So that was one of the red flags I kept running into when I was researching was, where are your oils from? People couldn't tell me, they didn't know. And that to me was not okay. It was a red flag. Young Living's transparency was one of the things that I fell in love with to start. I loved that you could go on their seedtoseal.com and see their farms, that you could visit their farms if you wanted to. They welcome everybody to come and visit their farms, and I loved that. Excuse me. So the farms are worldwide, so the plants can grow in the area where they thrive, and that the constituents inside the oils become the best at their peak. So That doesn't just mean where they originate from. So even if a plant originates from another part of the country, it may not thrive in that part of the country, and it may not make the best essential oil living in that country. So they have scientists who are going and taking the oil at the peak times during this day to know when is the peak time to distill this essential oil. So within a 2-week window that they know that this oil is going to be distilled, scientists will go out every hour, take oil and take it back and test it and find when it's at its peak. No one else is able to do that. That is really a commitment and an expense as well, to go out every hour to these fields. Okay, continuing on. So if you want to be a part of that, excuse me, I've got like this tickle in my throat. If you want to be a part of that, you can go to these farms and visit, and you can be a part of the seed to seal process. You can plant the seeds, you can help harvest, see the distillation, see how they're bottled. All of that was something that I was able to witness, and you can too. Another thing I want to touch on is a couple red flags about oils that you might have used before, and that is there should not be an expiration date on the bottle. If it is a pure oil, meaning that there wasn't anything else added to it, it wasn't didn't have any added solvents or chemicals in that distillation process, it should not have an expiration date. It should not expire. Now, if you leave the lid off, they will evaporate, but they should not expire. Sorry, I keep checking on my kiddos. That's why I keep like looking. Just like a bottle of wine, if you keep it close in a cool, dark place, their shelf life should be indefinite. Red flag number 2, pay attention to the fragrance of an oil. So I did not know this until I had used so many oils. Okay, but it wasn't until after I used Young Living that I could then tell the difference of the oils. Does an oil smell delicate and rich with different notes that you pick up on, or does it vary batch to batch? Do your oils smell different? So maybe a lavender you got last year smells different from the lavender you got this month. Those are all indications that they're distilled in small batches, rather industrially processed on a large scale with chemical solvents and additives. So we know that to produce large amounts of oil, like for perfume, a perfume grade oil, that companies will use chemical solvents to help pull that oil out. It's faster, they can get it out faster, and they can get larger amounts out. So it's cheaper than doing it slowly with steam, okay, which is what Young Living does. They also use low heat and in stainless steel chambers, okay? A lot of people will use plastic in places because it's cheaper. Young Living goes to the lengths that every piece of equipment that oil touches is going to be glass or stainless steel, the whole process, okay? Lavender oil should not smell like vanilla, and peppermint should not smell like a candy cane. If your oil smells sweet like that, like a candy cane, that's an indication that it's not pure and something was added. Lavender, like I said, you want it to be where it smells a little bit different. I mean, you're gonna have that traditional, like, you know this is lavender, but it's gonna be a little bit different batch to batch, and that's what you want, okay? Because everything in plants change. The surroundings change, the environment changes. For instance, when the plants get too much water or too little water, soil, sun conditions, temperature, and even wind can change the aroma, and all of that changes in their environment, right? So it's revealing its pure state. All oils fall into one of 4 categories. This is talking about the purity. So grade A is going to be a genuine therapeutic grade made from organically grown plants distilled at proper temperatures. So Young Living standards are better than organic. They go to higher lengths than it is to have an organic seal. They cannot technically be labeled organic just because of their farms all over the world. Since they don't own some of those, it wouldn't be something they would be able to do for each plant, for each oil. So, but please know that it goes beyond organic. What they go to lengths. Grade B is food grade. These contain synthetics, pesticides, fertilizers, chemical extenders, all of these things that if you're buying an essential oil in the store, you do not know where these oils are coming from. You do not know if an additive has been added into the oil. You do not know that they used chemical solvents, again, to pull that oil out when it was distilled. These do not have to be disclosed on the label, so you would not know. If you contact that company and ask them where their oil comes from and they do not know, that is, again, a red flag. Grade C are perfume oils. Typically what you find on the shelves, again, this is going to what I was just talking about on your health food store. They usually contain solvents that companies use to yield that higher amount of essential oils in a shorter amount of time. And lastly, grade D is floral water. So after all the oil is pulled out, the leftover water is basically trash water, is sold to companies, and then fill 5% of the bottle with this water, and the rest carrier oils, and then it can be labeled pure or natural or even organic. So again, this is another situation where labels are not all that they are cracked up to be. It is something that you have to be diligent about and research and know your stuff, and that's hard for everybody, right? But this is a reason why we love to do this, is because a lot of people have a hard time with the research part, and there's such a huge difference. And I wouldn't want to tell you about what lavender is good for and you run to the health food store and grab that lavender and rub it on your skin, and then there be an irritation to your skin. So just know that there is a huge difference. You get what you pay for. So if you compare, for instance, to a hamburger you can get on the dollar menu to an organic grass-fed beef burger, what do you think is the difference in price? It is the quality, right? So that goes for all of the essential oils on the market. Young Living completes 8 different tests on every batch of oil that is made. Nothing is ever compromised. If it doesn't pass all 8 tests, they will not use it, they will not sell it, okay? For instance, last year we went a whole year without our largest selling oil, Valor. It's a member favorite. If you love Valor, comment below. It's one of my all-time favorites. And we were out for a year because that field of our, where the blue tansy, which goes in Valor, was grown, the field flooded. And they pulled all of that out, harvested, tested the oil. It passed 7 out of 8 of the tests. 7 out of 8, which is still a very, very, very high standard. But they did not use it. You guys, they ended up spraying it to control the dust on the farms. They sprayed it on the ground instead of selling it to us. And they went a whole year without this oil. So that was a huge loss of money on their part, but they did not sell it. So to me, that's a huge sign of integrity on their part. So just making sure I'm covering everything here, because again, I love talking about it, and I'll just go on for days. But in fact, essential oils are God-given. Okay, they work perfectly with our bodies to help support every need. So I know this is my thing. If it's not yours, I'm just going to quote scripture here. Ezekiel 47:12 states, "Trees of all kinds, their fruit will serve for food and their leaves for healing." These are things that God put on this planet for a reason. They've been used for a very, 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 very long time, back to biblical times. There's a whole history on essential oils that we're not going to get into, but this is nothing new. It's not a fad. It's not going away. Please, all of these plants and trees are there for us. They're not just pretty. They're not just there to cover the ground. They're there for a specific reason.